I never thought my own parents would throw me out like trash. But there I was, standing in the marble lobby of the Silver Crest Resort, listening to my father's voice cut through me like ice. "We don't want you embarrassing us at the resort," Dad announced, not even bothering to lower his voice. Other guests were staring. I could feel their eyes burning into my skin. Mom nodded, her diamond earrings catching the chandelier light. "Find a motel you can afford, Emma. Something more your level." I left silently. My hands were shaking. My vision blurred with tears I refused to let fall. Not in front of them. Never in front of them. What they didn't know was that I owned this place. I'd owned the entire Silver Crest hotel chain for 3 years. And their cruelty was about to cost them everything. If you're enjoying this so far, don't forget to like this video and watch till the end. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. Let me take you back. Let me tell you how I got here. How the daughter they'd always looked down on became the woman who could destroy them with a single phone call. I grew up invisible. That's the only way I can describe it. My older sister Rebecca was the golden child. Beautiful, charming, married to a real estate mogul. She lived in a penthouse overlooking the city. She wore designer clothes and threw parties that got featured in society magazines. Then there was me. Emma. The disappointment. The one who worked too hard. Who dressed too plain. Who never married the right man or chose the right career or said the right things at family dinners. My parents made sure I knew it too. Every single day of my life. "Why can't you be more like Rebecca?" Mom would say, her lips pressed into that thin line of disapproval I knew so well. "Your sister knows how to make something of herself," Dad would add, barely looking up from his newspaper. I stopped trying to please them when I was 16. I realized I never would. So I focused on the only thing I could control. Myself. My future. My escape. I worked 3 jobs through college. I studied hospitality management while my classmates partied. I took every internship, every opportunity, every chance to learn. I slept 4 hours a night and lived on coffee and determination. By 25, I was managing a small boutique hotel downtown. By 28, I'd saved enough to buy a struggling property and turn it around. By 30, I'd built that into a small chain. And then I met Marcus Reeves. Marcus was old money. The kind of wealth that didn't need to announce itself. He owned hotels across the country, including the prestigious Silver Crest chain. 6 luxury resorts in the most exclusive locations. He was also dying. Cancer. Stage 4. He had maybe 6 months, the doctor said. He had no children. No family he cared about. Just an empire he'd built from nothing and no one to leave it to. We met at a hospitality conference. I was there to network. He was there because he still loved the business, even as his body betrayed him. We talked for hours about hotels, about service, about what it meant to create spaces where people felt truly cared for. He saw something in me. Maybe he saw himself. The hunger. The drive. The obsession with excellence that most people didn't understand. 3 months later, he called me to his office. The view overlooked the city. Sunlight streamed through floor-to-ceiling windows. He looked small behind that massive desk, his suit hanging loose on his frame. "I want you to have it," he said simply. "The whole chain. Silver Crest. Everything." I thought I'd heard him wrong. "Mr. Reeves, Marcus," he corrected. "And I'm serious. I've watched you, Emma. I've seen how you run your properties. How you treat your staff. How you understand that luxury isn't about thread count or champagne. It's about making people feel valued. That's rare. But why me? You could sell for 2 billions?" He smiled. It was tired but genuine. I have more money than I could spend in 10 lifetimes. What I need is to know that what I built will continue. That it won't be gutted by some corporate vulture who only sees dollar signs. The paperwork took weeks. Lawyers. Contracts. Stipulations. The main one being that I couldn't tell anyone. Marcus was private. He didn't want his decision questioned or challenged. The transfer would be quiet. Complete. Final. And it would happen after he died. He passed away on a Tuesday morning. Peaceful, his lawyer said. In his sleep. I cried. I barely knew him, but I cried. Because he'd seen me. Really seen me. When my own parents never had. The empire became mine that day. 6 luxury resorts. The Silver Crest in Aspen. The Silver Crest in Miami. The Silver Crest in the Hamptons. Cabo. Napa Valley. And the crown jewel. The Silver Crest in St. Lucia, where the ocean met the mountains in a view that made guests weep. I kept it quiet, just as Marcus had wanted. I ran things from behind the scenes. I had excellent directors at each property who knew me as the owner but understood discretion. I visited regularly, always quietly. I'd walk the grounds. Talk to staff. Experience the guest journey from check-in to check-out. I loved it. Every second of it. This was mine. I'd built something. I'd become someone. Even if my family never knew. I should have told them. Maybe if I had, what happened next wouldn't have hurt so much. But I didn't tell them. Because part of me wanted to see if they'd ever love me for just being me. Not for what I had or what I could give them. Just me. That was my mistake. 3 months after I took over Silver Crest, Rebecca called. Her voice had that sugary sweetness she only used when she wanted something. Emma, darling, how are you? We weren't the calling each other darling type. Warning bells went off immediately. I'm fine. What do you need, Rebecca? So suspicious, she laughed. That tinkling laugh she'd perfected for cocktail parties. Can't I just check on my baby sister? You could. But you're not. A pause. Then the real Rebecca came through. Fine. Trevor and I are taking Mom and Dad to St. Lucia. The Silver Crest Resort. It's their 40th anniversary and we wanted to do something special. My stomach dropped. My resort. They were going to my resort. That's nice, I managed. The thing is, we're short one room. We booked a family suite and 2 villas, but we'd love for you to join us. If you can afford it, of course. I know those places are expensive and your little hotel business probably doesn't. I can afford it, I cut her off. My voice was ice. Wonderful. Book something small. We wouldn't want you to strain your budget. See you in 2 weeks. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at my phone. 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks to decide what to do. I could tell them. Just come clean. Say, actually, I own the place. I'll comp everyone's rooms. Surprise! But something stopped me. Pride maybe. Or stupidity. Or that little voice that whispered, let's see how they treat you when they think you're still nothing. So I booked a standard room. Under my name. Emma Torres. Just another guest. I didn't alert the staff. Didn't tell the director. I wanted to experience this as my family saw me. As the disappointment. The one who had to scrape together money for a standard room while they lounged in villas and suites. The flight to St. Lucia was long. I sat in business class. I could have taken first, but I didn't want to risk running into my family at the airport. I needed time to prepare myself. To build up the armor I'd need to survive a week with them. The resort was more beautiful than I remembered. My last visit had been 6 months ago, during a routine inspection. But seeing it now, as a guest, walking through those doors knowing my family was already here, already judging me, it felt different. The lobby was all white marble and tropical plants. Orchids everywhere. The scent of plumeria hung in the air. Floor-to-ceiling windows opened onto a terrace that overlooked the ocean. The water was that impossible shade of turquoise that didn't look real. "Welcome to Silver Crest," the desk clerk said. Her name tag read Maya. She was new since my last visit. "Checking in?" "Yes." "Emma Torres." Her fingers flew across the keyboard. "Ah yes, Ms. Torres. Standard ocean view room. You're on the 3rd floor. We have you for 7 nights? That's right. Wonderful. And I see you're part of the Torres family party? Your family checked in this morning. They're in Villa 3 and the executive suite." Of course they were. "Yes. I'm part of that party." Maya smiled. "Your sister asked us to note that family dinner is at 7 tonight. The Sunset Terrace restaurant. Dress code is formal." "Thank you." She handed me my key card. Real metal, weighted, with the Silver Crest logo embossed in silver. I'd designed these myself. "Enjoy your stay, Ms. Torres. If you need anything at all, please don't hesitate to call the concierge." I took the elevator to the 3rd floor. My room was nice. Standard, yes, but still luxury. King bed with 1,000 thread count sheets. Marble bathroom with a rainfall shower and separate soaking tub. Private balcony with 2 loungers and a view of the ocean that people would kill for. But it wasn't a villa. It wasn't a suite. It was the room you gave to the family member you had to invite but didn't really want there. I unpacked slowly. Hung up my dresses. The one I'd wear to dinner tonight was simple. Black, elegant, but nothing flashy. I'd learned long ago not to outshine Rebecca. It only made things worse. At 6:30, I started getting ready. Showered. Did my makeup. Nothing dramatic. Just enough to look polished. I twisted my hair into a low bun. Put on small diamond studs. The only real jewelry I owned. The dress fit perfectly. I looked at myself in the mirror. 33 years old. Successful. Powerful. Owner of an empire. And I was about to walk into dinner with my family who still saw me as the failure. The Sunset Terrace was on the top floor. Open air, with gauzy white curtains that caught the breeze. Candles on every table. The sun was just starting to set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink and purple that looked like they'd been photoshopped but were real. So painfully, beautifully real. I saw them immediately. Impossible to miss. Rebecca in a white dress that probably cost more than most people's mortgage. Trevor beside her in a linen suit, looking like he'd stepped out of a yacht club advertisement. Mom in royal blue, her silver hair perfectly coiffed. Dad in a blazer and slacks, already sipping what I knew was a very expensive scotch. They were laughing. All of them. Looking like the perfect family. The kind you see in magazine spreads about successful people living their best lives. I didn't fit in that picture. I never had. "Emma." Rebecca spotted me. Her voice carried across the restaurant. Other diners looked over. "You made it." We were starting to worry. I walked to the table. It was set for 5. The 4 of them and me. I said 7. "It's 7. Rebecca meant fashionably late, Trevor said with that smile he used when he was pretending to be charming. You know how resort time works. I didn't respond. Just took the empty seat at the end of the table. The one with the slightly worse view. The one that made it clear where I ranked. Emma, darling, you look tired, Mom said. Her eyes scanned me from head to toe. Are you sleeping enough? You really should take better care of yourself. I sleep fine, Mom. And that dress, Rebecca added. It's very practical. Where did you get it? Target? It was Armani. Last season, but still Armani. Not that I'd tell her that. It's comfortable. Comfort is so important, she agreed in that tone that meant the opposite. Not everyone can pull off haute couture. The waiter appeared. Good evening. My name is James and I'll be taking care of you tonight. Can I start you with cocktails? Wine. Champagne, Dad said. Your best bottle. We're celebrating. Excellent choice, sir. I'll bring our Dom Perignon. Rebecca leaned forward. Emma, sweetheart, order whatever you want. This is on us. Well, on Trevor really. But we're happy to treat. There it was. The reminder that I was here on their charity. That I couldn't afford this on my own. Water is fine, I said quietly. Water? Mom looked horrified. Emma, really? Have a glass of champagne at least. It's your parents' anniversary. I said water is fine. An uncomfortable silence settled over the table. The kind I was used to. The kind that followed whenever I didn't play along with their script of the grateful, inferior younger sister. James returned with the champagne. Dom Perignon Vintage 2012. $800 a bottle. Not the most expensive thing we carried, but up there. He poured for everyone except me. My water glass sat there, plain and room temperature. To 40 years, Trevor raised his glass. To Richard and Patricia. The strongest marriage I know. They all clinked glasses. I sipped my water. Dinner was painful. They ordered the most expensive items on the menu. Lobster. Wagyu. A side of truffle risotto that cost $90. They laughed and told stories that all somehow made me the punchline. Remember when Emma showed up to Rebecca's wedding in that awful dress? Remember when Emma tried to give Mom investment advice and lost her $5,000? Remember when Emma dated that boy from the wrong side of town and Dad had to pay him to leave? That last one wasn't even true. But I didn't correct them. I just sat there, cutting my mahi-mahi into smaller and smaller pieces, wondering why I'd come. So Emma, Dad said, dabbing his mouth with his napkin. Tell us about this hotel business of yours. How's that little place downtown doing? I'd sold that property 2 years ago as part of the Silver Crest acquisition. It's fine. Just fine? That's not very encouraging. Maybe you should think about a career change. Rebecca's husband is always looking for administrative help. I don't need help, Dad. Pride goeth before a fall, Mom interjected. We're just trying to look out for you, sweetheart. We worry. No, you don't, I thought. You've never worried about me. You worry about how I reflect on you. I appreciate the concern, I said instead. But I'm doing well. Well enough to afford this place? Rebecca asked. Her eyes glittered with something mean. Because these rooms aren't cheap, Emma. I'd hate for you to put yourself into debt just to keep up appearances. My jaw clenched. I can afford my room. Of course you can, she said, not believing me for a second. I just mean, if you need help, I don't. Another silence. This one thicker. Hostile. The sun had set completely now. The sky was dark purple, stars beginning to appear. The candles on the tables flickered in the breeze. It should have been romantic. Beautiful. Instead it felt like sitting in a beautiful cage. Well, Mom said finally. This was lovely. We should get back to the villa. We have an early spa day tomorrow. They all stood. I stayed seated. Aren't you coming? Rebecca asked. Coming where? To the villa. For after-dinner drinks. We have a full bar and the view is absolutely stunning. I'm tired. I think I'll just head to my room. Your room, Dad repeated. Something in his tone made my skin prickle. Yes. About that. Here it comes, I thought. Whatever they'd been building up to all night. We've been talking, Mom said. And we think it might be better if you found other accommodations. The words didn't register at first. Excuse me? This is a family trip, Emma, Rebecca explained slowly, like I was stupid. And you being here, in a standard room, it's just awkward. People might think we couldn't afford to put you in a better room. It reflects poorly on us. My heart was pounding. You invited me. We invited you to St. Lucia, she corrected. We didn't necessarily mean to stay here. There are plenty of other hotels. Motels even. Something more your level. I stood up. My chair scraped against the floor. More my level. Don't be dramatic, Dad said. He looked annoyed now. Impatient. We're just saying that this resort caters to a certain clientele. A certain standard. And we don't want you embarrassing us. There it was. The words that would echo in my head forever. We don't want you embarrassing us at the resort, Dad announced, louder now. Other diners were definitely listening. I could feel their attention like heat on my skin. Mom agreed, nodding along. Find a motel you can afford, Emma. Something more your speed. I couldn't breathe. The terrace felt too small. Too hot. The beautiful view, the expensive champagne, the perfect family dinner. All of it was a lie. A beautiful, terrible lie. And I was the punchline. I left silently. Didn't say goodbye. Didn't make a scene. Just picked up my purse and walked out of that restaurant with my head high and tears burning behind my eyes. I made it to the elevator before the first sob broke free. The doors closed and I collapsed against the wall, crying so hard my whole body shook. Embarrassing them. That's what I did. That's all I'd ever done. Just by existing. I went to my room. Packed my suitcase with shaking hands. I'd leave tonight. Catch a red-eye back home. They'd never know. They'd think I'd slunk away to some cheap motel with my tail between my legs. They'd never know the truth. I was zipping up my suitcase when my phone rang. The director's number. Marcus St. James. I'd hired him personally 2 years ago. Marcus? Ms. Torres. His voice was professional but concerned. I apologize for calling so late. I'm at the front desk and there's been a situation. My heart sank. What kind of situation? It's regarding the Torres family party in Villa 3 and Suite 402. They've just contacted the concierge with a request to have you removed from the property. They claim you're causing a disturbance and are inappropriate for our establishment. The room spun. They what? I wanted to contact you immediately. They don't know that that is, they're unaware of your position. I haven't disclosed anything per your previous instructions about privacy. But ma'am, I need to know how you want me to handle this. I sat down on the edge of the bed. My hands were shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. They'd actually tried to have me kicked out. Their own daughter. Their own sister. They'd gone to the front desk and asked to have me removed like I was some kind of trash they needed disposed of. Something inside me broke. Or maybe it was something that had been broken for years finally shattering completely. Ms. Torres? Marcus's voice was gentle. I'm so sorry. If I'd known they were your family, I never would have allowed, Marcus, I interrupted. My voice sounded strange. Calm. Too calm. I need you to do something for me. Of course. Anything. Call them. My father's name is Richard Torres. Call his room. Tell him that the owner of Silver Crest has been made aware of the complaint regarding his daughter Emma Torres. Tell him the owner is currently reviewing their stay privileges and will contact them shortly with a decision. A pause. You want me to review their stay privileges? Yes. Ma'am, are you sure? I understand you're upset, but I'm not upset, Marcus. I'm done. Call them. Now. And put the call on speaker. I want to hear his reaction. As you wish. I heard clicking as he pulled up the room number. Dialing. The phone rang once. Twice. Yes? Dad's voice. Impatient. Annoyed at being disturbed. Mr. Torres, this is Marcus St. James, the director of Silver Crest St. Lucia. I apologize for the late call. This is about my daughter, I assume? Dad said. Good. Has she been removed from the property? My breath caught. Not exactly, sir. I'm calling because the owner of Silver Crest has been made aware of your complaint regarding Ms. Emma Torres. The owner is currently reviewing your entire party's stay privileges. Silence. Then, I'm sorry, what? The owner, sir. Of the hotel chain. They've been informed of the situation and are evaluating whether your party will be permitted to continue your stay. That's absurd, Dad sputtered. We're guests here. Paying guests. We've done nothing wrong. It's Emma who's the problem. She's the one who doesn't belong here. I'm simply relaying the owner's message, sir. You'll be receiving a call shortly regarding the final decision. This is unacceptable. Do you know who I am? Do you have any idea how much money we've spent here? I'm aware of your charges, Mr. Torres. The owner is aware as well. That's all I can tell you at this time. Good night. Marcus disconnected. I could hear my father's muffled cursing even after the line went dead. Ms. Torres? Marcus's voice came back on. What would you like me to do next? I looked around my room. The room they wanted me to leave. The resort they said I didn't belong in. The empire I'd built from nothing while they'd spent their lives coasting on inherited wealth and cruelty. Give me 10 minutes, I said. Then call again. Tell my father the owner wants to speak with him directly. Transfer the call to this room. You're going to tell them. I'm going to show them. I hung up and stood. Walked to the bathroom. Looked at myself in the mirror. My makeup was smudged from crying. My hair was falling out of its bun. I looked broken. But I wasn't broken. Not anymore. I fixed my makeup. Reapplied my lipstick. Pinned my hair back up. Changed out of my dress and into dark jeans and a simple white blouse. Nothing fancy. Just me. Just Emma. The woman who owned this place. My phone rang exactly 10 minutes later. Marcus, right on time. They're on hold, he said. Ready when you are. Put them through. A click. Then my father's voice, irritated and demanding. This is Richard Torres. I was told the owner wants to speak with me. I took a breath. Steadied myself. This was it. No going back after this. Hello, Dad. Silence. Complete, absolute silence. Emma? His voice had changed. Uncertain now. What, why am I on this call? I finished for him. Because I am the owner of Silver Crest, Dad. All 6 properties. I've owned them for 3 years. More silence. I could picture him, standing in his villa, his face going red then white then red again. That's not possible, he said finally. You run a small hotel. You can barely. I ran a small hotel, I corrected. 5 years ago. I built that into a chain. Then I was approached by Marcus Reeves. You've heard of him? Billionaire hotelier? He sold me this entire empire before he died. I've been running it ever since. You're lying. His voice was shaking. This is some kind of joke. It's not a joke, Dad. I own this resort. I own the one in Aspen where you and Mom spent Christmas. The one in the Hamptons where Rebecca had her 5th wedding anniversary party. All of it. Mine. Why didn't you tell us? Mom's voice now. She must have picked up another phone. If this is true, why did you hide it? Because I wanted to see, I said simply. I wanted to know if you'd ever treat me like I mattered without knowing what I had. And you didn't. You threw me out. You tried to have me removed from my own hotel because I embarrassed you. Emma, sweetheart, Rebecca's voice now. Of course she was listening too. This is obviously just a misunderstanding. We didn't mean, you meant exactly what you said, Rebecca. You've all made it very clear how you see me. What you think I'm worth. So what happens now? Dad asked. His voice was different. Smaller. Are you going to kick us out? Is this revenge? I considered that. Revenge would feel good. Watching them pack their bags. Seeing them humiliated the way they'd humiliated me. But that wasn't what Marcus Reeves had taught me. Luxury isn't about punishment. It's about dignity. No, I said finally. You can stay. Finish your week. Enjoy the resort. But there are going to be some changes. Changes? Mom asked nervously. Your villa and suite? Downgraded to standard rooms. Same floor as mine. Same view. Same amenities. You'll pay for every meal, every drink, every spa treatment. No comps. No upgrades. No special treatment. Emma, that's not fair, Rebecca protested. We paid for those rooms. We booked them months ago. And I'm the owner. I make the rules. Those are my terms. Take them or leave. And if we leave? Dad asked. Then you leave. And you never book a Silver Crest property again. Ever. Any of you. I heard whispering. Furious, hushed arguing. We'll stay, Dad said finally. He sounded defeated. On your terms. Good. Marcus will arrange the room changes. You'll be moved by morning. I'll have breakfast sent to your new rooms. Standard Continental. Not the villa breakfast service. Emma, Mom tried again. Sweetheart, can't we talk about this? Face to face? No. I'm done talking, Mom. I've spent 33 years trying to get you to see me. Really see me. And you never did. You never will. So I'm done. You're our daughter, she said. Her voice broke. Was she crying? I couldn't tell. Didn't care. I'm your daughter when it's convenient, I corrected. When you need something. When it makes you look good. But not when it matters. Not when I need you to just love me. Just as I am. We do love you, Dad said. But it sounded hollow. Empty. No, you don't. And that's okay. I've made peace with it. But I need you to understand something. I am successful. I am powerful. I built something real. And I did it without you. Despite you. And that's never going to change. I hung up before they could respond. My hands were shaking but my breathing was steady. I called Marcus back. How did it go? He asked. Exactly as it needed to. Make the room changes. And Marcus? I'll be extending my stay. I want to be here for the rest of their trip. Are you sure that's wise, ma'am? Given the circumstances? I'm sure. This is my resort. My empire. I'm not hiding anymore. I slept that night. Really slept. For the first time in years, I slept without that weight on my chest. That voice in my head telling me I wasn't good enough, smart enough, successful enough. I woke up to sunshine streaming through my window and the sound of waves crashing on the shore. I ordered room service. Eggs Benedict and fresh fruit and the best coffee in the Caribbean. I ate on my balcony in my pajamas and watched the ocean and felt something I hadn't felt in so long I'd almost forgotten what it was called. Peace. Around 10, I got dressed. Casual today. Sundress and sandals. Hair down and loose. I looked like any other resort guest enjoying a vacation. I went down to the lobby. Checked in with Marcus, who looked relieved to see me smiling. The room changes have been made, he reported. Your family was not pleased. But they didn't argue. Good. How are they handling it? Rebecca was at the front desk at 7 a.m. demanding to speak with management. I explained that management's decision was final. She threatened to leave a bad review. I laughed. Actually laughed. She can try. Our reputation will survive. Your father tried to tip a bellhop to tell him who the owner was. The bellhop came directly to me. Give him a bonus, I said. Loyalty should be rewarded. I spent the day exploring the resort. Not as the owner doing an inspection. Just as Emma. I got a massage at the spa. Swam in the infinity pool. Read a book on the beach with my toes in the sand. I saw them once. My family. They were at lunch at the casual poolside restaurant. No more Sunset Terrace for them. No more lobster and champagne. Rebecca spotted me first. Her face went red. She said something to Trevor, who looked over. Then Mom and Dad both turned. We locked eyes across the pool deck. Me in my sundress and floppy hat. Them clustered around a small table, looking miserable despite the paradise surrounding them. I raised my glass of iced tea in a small toast. Then turned back to my book. That evening, I dressed for dinner. Really dressed. A dress I'd been saving. Emerald green silk that flowed like water. Heels that made me feel powerful. My hair done up in an elegant twist. Diamond earrings that Marcus Reeves had given me as a gift. Real diamonds. Flawless. I went to the Sunset Terrace. Requested a table for one. The best table. The one with the view that made people gasp. James was my waiter again. His eyes widened when he saw me. Marcus must have briefed the staff. Ms. Torres, he said with a small bow. It's an honor to serve you this evening. Thank you, James. I'll have the tasting menu. And a glass of the Krug Grande Cuvée. Excellent choice. I saw them arrive halfway through my appetizer. They'd been seated at a table near the back. Not bad, but not premium. They could see me though. That was the important part. I ate slowly. Savored every bite. The scallops were perfect. The halibut melted on my tongue. The chocolate soufflé was heaven. I sipped my champagne and watched the sunset paint the sky in colors that didn't seem real. And I felt something shift inside me. Something breaking free. They couldn't hurt me anymore. Their words, their judgment, their disappointment. None of it could touch me now. Because I knew my worth. I'd known it all along, deep down. But now I felt it. Really, truly felt it. After dinner, I went to the beach bar. ordered an old-fashioned and sat in one of the lounge chairs with my feet in the sand. The bartender brought it over personally. "Miss Torres," he said. "I'm Raphael. I've worked here for 5 years. I just wanted to say, it's good to finally meet you. What you've done with this place, it's special. You kept everything that made it great and made it better. Thank you, Raphael. That means a lot. The staff, we all know about what happened with your family. And I just wanted you to know, we're on your side." My throat tightened. "You don't have to, we do though. Because you could have fired everyone when you took over. Changed everything. But you didn't. You kept us. Promoted from within. Gave us raises and better benefits. You actually care. That's rare." He left before I could respond. I sat there with my old-fashioned, watching the stars come out, feeling tears run down my cheeks. Happy tears this time. "Emma?" I turned. Mom was standing a few feet away. She looked smaller somehow. Older. Her perfect facade was cracking. "Can I sit?" I wanted to say no. Wanted to tell her to leave. But I was tired of fighting. "It's a free beach." She sat in the chair next to mine. We didn't look at each other. Just stared out at the ocean, dark and vast and endless. "I'm sorry," she said finally. "For what specifically?" "For all of it. For how we treated you. For how we've always treated you." "Why did you?" I asked. The question I'd carried my whole life. Why was I never good enough? She was quiet for so long I thought she wouldn't answer. Then, because you reminded me of myself. I turned to look at her. "When I was young," she continued, "I had dreams. I wanted to study architecture. Design buildings. Create something lasting. But my parents said that wasn't appropriate. That I should marry well and be a good wife and mother. So I did. I married your father. Had you girls. Built a perfect life. And you resented me for wanting more." "I resented you for having the courage to chase it," she corrected. "Every time I looked at you, working so hard, refusing to settle, I saw everything I'd given up. Everything I'd been too scared to fight for. And instead of being proud of you, I tried to make you small. Like I was." The honesty of it stole my breath. "That doesn't make it okay," I said. "No. It doesn't. But I am sorry, Emma. Truly. You built something extraordinary. And you did it alone. Without our support. Maybe even because we didn't support you. That takes a strength I never had." "I'm not strong," I said quietly. "I'm just stubborn." She laughed. It was wet, thick with tears. "You're both." We sat in silence. The waves rolled in and out. Steady. Eternal. Indifferent to human drama. "What happens now?" Mom asked. "I don't know. I can't just forgive everything. That's not how this works." "I understand. But maybe." I hesitated. "Maybe we could start over. Not forget. But try to build something new. Something real." She reached over and took my hand. Her skin was soft. Cold. "I'd like that." We sat there together until our drinks were empty. Then she stood, squeezed my hand once, and walked back toward the hotel. I stayed on the beach for hours. Thinking. Processing. Feeling everything I'd kept locked away for so long. The next morning, I had breakfast with Rebecca. She came to my room at 9. Knocked softly. When I opened the door, she looked different. No makeup. Hair in a messy ponytail. She was wearing yoga pants and an old t-shirt. I'd never seen her look so normal. Can we talk? She asked. I let her in. Ordered coffee and pastries from room service. We sat on my balcony with the ocean stretching out before us. I was jealous, she said without preamble. My whole life, I was jealous of you. Of me? Rebecca, you were the golden child. You had everything. I had their approval, she corrected. But you had freedom. You made your own choices. Built your own life. I married Trevor because he checked all the right boxes. Yale graduate. Family money. Country club membership. But I don't love him, Emma. I never have. The confession hung in the air between us. Then why stay? Because it's easier than admitting I made a mistake. Easier than starting over. You were always braver than me. Even when we were kids. You stood up to Dad. You walked away when things got hard. I just played the part one was given. That's not bravery, I said. That's survival. There's a difference. Maybe. But you survived. You thrived. And I'm stuck in a life I hate, married to a man I can't stand, living in a penthouse that feels like a prison. I didn't know what to say to that. This vulnerable, honest Rebecca was someone I'd never met before. You could leave, I offered quietly. Start over. It's never too late. Says the woman who owns a hotel empire at 33. Says the woman who worked 3 jobs and slept 4 hours a night for a decade. It wasn't glamorous, Rebecca. It was hard. Really hard. But it was mine. She nodded slowly. I think I need to figure out what mine looks like. We finished our coffee in silence. But it was comfortable this time. Not hostile. Just 2 sisters who'd spent their whole lives competing finally seeing each other clearly. Before she left, she hugged me. A real hug. I'm proud of you, she whispered. I should have said that years ago. Dad was harder. He didn't apologize. Didn't try to explain. He just showed up at the pool where I was reading 3 days into the trip. Your mother says we're starting over, he said without preamble. If you want to. I'm not forcing anyone. He sat down on the lounger next to mine. Stared at the pool like it held answers. I don't know how to do this, he admitted. How to be a father to a daughter I don't understand. You could start by trying. I thought I was helping. Pushing you to be more like Rebecca. To fit in. To have an easier life. I didn't want an easier life, Dad. I wanted you to believe in me. I did believe in you. No. You believed I would fail. And you wanted to protect me from that failure by making me into someone else. Someone I was never meant to be. He was quiet for a long time. Then, you're right. I did think you'd fail. Because I failed. I turned to look at him. What? Before I married your mother, I wanted to be a writer. Had a manuscript and everything. Sent it to every publisher in New York. Got rejected every time. Eventually I gave up. Took a job at my father's firm. Married well. Did what was expected. And I convinced myself that was enough. The parallel to Mom's confession wasn't lost on me. So when you watched me chase my dreams, I said slowly, you were watching yourself fail all over again. I was trying to save you from the disappointment I felt. But Dad, I didn't fail. I succeeded. And you missed it because you were too busy projecting your own regrets onto me. He nodded. His eyes were wet. I'd never seen my father cry. I'm sorry, Emma. For all of it. You deserved better. I did, I agreed. But maybe it's not too late to be better now. He reached over and squeezed my shoulder. It was awkward. Stiff. But it was something. The rest of the trip was strange. We weren't suddenly a perfect family. We didn't magically heal decades of hurt. But we tried. We had dinners where people actually listened. We talked about real things instead of just surface pleasantries. We started building something new. On the last day, I gathered them all in my room. Mom, Dad, Rebecca, and Trevor. I wanted to show you something, I said. I pulled out my laptop and opened a presentation. Photographs of all 6 Silver Crest properties. Financial reports showing steady growth. Guest satisfaction ratings that were among the highest in the luxury hospitality industry. Articles from travel magazines calling the chain the gold standard in modern luxury. This is what I built, I said. This is who I am. And I need you to see it. Really see it. Not because I need your approval anymore. But because if we're going to have a relationship, it has to be based on truth. On knowing who I actually am. They looked at the screen in silence. Taking it in. The scope of it. The success of it. The undeniable proof that I was exactly who I'd always said I was. It's extraordinary, Rebecca said finally. You're extraordinary. I'm just Emma. But I'm enough. I've always been enough. Dad stood up. Walked over to me. And for the first time in my life, he hugged me like he meant it. You're more than enough, he said into my hair. And I'm sorry it took me this long to see it. We left St. Lucia on different flights. Them back to their lives. Me staying a few extra days to work with Marcus on some property upgrades. But before they left, Rebecca pulled me aside at the airport. I'm leaving Trevor, she said. What? You were right. About all of it. I've been living someone else's life. And I'm done. I don't know what comes next. But I need to figure out who I am when I'm not performing for everyone else. That's brave. That's terrifying, she corrected. But I learned from the best. She hugged me tight. Thank you. For showing me what courage looks like. 6 months later, I was sitting in my office in the main Silver Crest headquarters in Manhattan when Rebecca called. I got a job, she announced. Doing what? Teaching art to elementary school kids. Remember how I used to paint? Before I met Trevor and he said it was a waste of time? I remember. Well, I'm painting again. And I'm teaching kids to paint. And Emma, it's amazing. I make barely anything compared to what I'm used to. I'm living in a studio apartment in Brooklyn. And I've never been happier. Pride swelled in my chest. I'm so proud of you. I learned it from you. You showed me that success isn't about what other people think. It's about building a life that feels true. We talked for over an hour. Really talked. Like sisters who actually liked each other. Mom started taking architecture classes at the community college. At 65 years old, she was finally chasing the dream she'd abandoned at 20. Dad wrote his book. It wasn't going to be a bestseller. But he finished it. And he was proud of it. That was enough. And me? I kept running Silver Crest. Kept growing the empire. Opened 2 more properties in locations that took my breath away. But I also learned to let people in. Started dating. Made friends who knew me as Emma, not just as the owner. Went to therapy and worked through all the pain I'd carried. I went back to St. Lucia every few months. It was still my favorite property. My refuge. The place where everything changed. Marcus and I would walk the property together, discussing improvements and expansions. But also just talking. About life. About dreams. About the strange path that had led us both here. Do you ever regret it? He asked one day as we watched the sunset from the terrace. Telling them the truth? No. It needed to happen. I needed them to see me. And do you think they do now? Really see you? I considered that. I think they're trying. That's all I can ask. Marcus Reeves would be proud of you, he said. Not just for what you've built, but for who you've become. I hope so. He gave me a chance when no one else would. He gave you opportunity. You did the rest. That night, I had dinner alone at the Sunset Terrace. The same table where everything had fallen apart a year ago. But this time, I wasn't eating in defiance. I was eating in celebration. Of myself. Of my journey. Of the truth that had set me free. James brought my champagne. The usual, Ms. Torres? Actually, James, I'd like to try something different tonight. What would you recommend? He smiled. For you? I'd suggest the 2015 Cristal. It's perfect for new beginnings. New beginnings, I repeated. I like that. I toasted to the ocean. To the stars. To the woman I'd become and the women I'd helped others become. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom, finished my first design project. It's just a garden shed, but I drew every detail. Thought you'd want to know. Then Rebecca, painted something today that didn't suck. Progress. Then Dad, publisher wants to read the first 3 chapters. Probably nothing. But still. I smiled. We weren't perfect. We'd never be a magazine spread family. But we were real. Finally, honestly real. I typed back to all of them, proud of you. Keep going. Another text came through. An unknown number, Ms. Torres, this is Raphael from the beach bar. I wanted you to know that your story inspired me. I'm enrolling in hotel management school. I want to build something too. Thank you for showing me it's possible. And that, I realized, was the real success. Not the hotels. Not the money. Not even the reconciliation with my family. It was showing people, through my own example, that they could be more than what others expected. That they could build lives that felt true. That they could survive rejection and cruelty and doubt and come out stronger. I finished my dinner slowly. Savored every bite. Watched the sky turn from orange to purple to black. Tomorrow I'd fly to the new property in Bali. Next week I had meetings in Aspen about a renovation. Next month I was speaking at a hospitality conference about building authentic luxury experiences. My life was full. Busy. Challenging. But it was mine. All mine. And that was everything. I walked back to my room along the beach. My heels in my hand. My feet in the sand. The waves rushed around my ankles, warm and gentle. I thought about that night a year ago. Standing in this same spot. Broken and humiliated. Ready to run. I'd come so far since then. Not in distance. But in truth. I'd stopped running from myself. From my worth. From my power. And in doing that, I'd found something I'd been searching for my whole life. Peace. Not because everything was perfect. But because I was finally, completely, unapologetically myself. Back in my room, I stood on the balcony one last time. The ocean stretched out before me. Vast and deep and full of possibility. I'd built an empire. But more than that, I'd built a self. And no one, not my family, not society, not anyone, could ever take that from me again. The next morning, I was in Marcus's office reviewing quarterly reports when his assistant knocked. Ms. Torres? There's someone here to see you. They don't have an appointment, but they said it's urgent. Who is it? A Mr. Chen. He says he was a friend of Marcus Reeves. My heart skipped. Marcus had rarely talked about his personal life. I'd assumed he didn't have many close friends. Send him in. The man who entered was maybe 70. Silver hair. kind eyes. Expensive but understated suit. "Ms. Torres," he said, extending his hand. "Thank you for seeing me. I'm David Chen. Marcus and I were close before he died. It's nice to meet you. Marcus spoke very highly of you." He looked surprised. "He mentioned me?" "He did. Said you were one of the few people who understood why he loved this business so much." David smiled sadly. "That sounds like Marcus. Always focused on the work." He pulled out an envelope. "I came because I have something for you. Marcus left it with me. Asked me to give it to you after you'd been running the company for a year. He wanted to make sure you'd stick with it before you read it." My hands shook as I took the envelope. It was heavy. Expensive paper. Marcus's handwriting on the front, for Emma. "I'll leave you to read it in private," David said. "But Ms. Torres? Whatever he wrote in there, know that he believed in you. More than anyone I'd seen him believe in 40 years. After he left, I sat at the desk for a long time. Just holding the envelope. Almost afraid to open it. Finally, I slid my finger under the seal. Inside was a letter. Pages and pages in Marcus's neat handwriting. "Dear Emma," it began. "If you're reading this, you've made it a year. That means you didn't sell the company for a quick profit. Didn't crumble under the pressure. Didn't let doubt win. I knew you wouldn't, but I needed to be sure. I want to tell you why I chose you. It wasn't just because you were talented, though you are. It wasn't just because you understood hospitality, though you do. I chose you because you reminded me of myself at your age. Hungry. Driven. But also broken in ways that only someone who's been there can recognize. My family didn't believe in me either. They wanted me to be a lawyer. A doctor. Something respectable. When I said I wanted to run hotels, they laughed. Said it was beneath me. That I was wasting my potential. So I built this empire to prove them wrong. Every property. Every 5-star rating. Every glowing review. It was all ammunition in a war against their disappointment. But here's what I learned too late: you can't build a life just to prove someone wrong. That's still letting them define you. Still giving them power over your choices. Real success, Emma, real peace, comes when you build for yourself. When you define your own worth. When you stop needing anyone's approval but your own. I see that struggle in you. I saw it in our conversations. The way you talked about your work with such passion but also such defensiveness. Like you were constantly ready to justify your existence. You don't need to justify anything. You are brilliant. Talented. Visionary. And you deserve every bit of this success, not because you worked hard, though you did, or because you proved anyone wrong, though you might have, but simply because you exist. Because you dared to dream and then made that dream real. By the time you read this, something will have happened. Some crisis or confrontation that forced you to choose between hiding who you are and standing in your truth. I don't know what it will be. But I know it will come. It always does. I hope you chose truth. I hope you chose yourself. Because Emma, you are more than your achievements. You are more than this company. You are a person worthy of love and respect and dignity, with or without any of this. The hotels? They're just buildings. Beautiful buildings, yes. But buildings nonetheless. You are irreplaceable. Don't forget that. Don't ever forget that. Live the life I never quite managed to. Not just successfully, but joyfully. Not just powerfully, but peacefully. Not just proving others wrong, but proving yourself right about who you always knew you could be. I'm proud of you. I hope, wherever I am now, I'll get to see you thrive. With deep respect and affection, Marcus. I was crying before I finished the first page. By the end, I was sobbing. Great heaving sobs that shook my entire body. He'd known. Marcus had known exactly what I'd need to hear. Exactly what I'd been struggling with. And he'd left me this gift. This permission to be more than my achievements. This reminder that I was enough, with or without any of this. I read the letter 3 more times. Then carefully folded it and put it in my briefcase. This would travel with me. To every property. Every meeting. Every moment when I needed to remember who I was. That evening, I called my family. A group call. All of them together. I have something I want to read to you, I said. And I read them Marcus's letter. Every word. When I finished, there was silence. Then Mom said, he was right. About all of it. And Emma, I want you to know, we're trying. Every day, we're trying to see you the way Marcus did. The way we should have all along. I know, I said. And I appreciate it. But I also need you to know, I don't need you to see me anymore. I see myself. That's enough. Is it? Dad asked quietly. Yes. But I still want you in my life. Not because I need your approval. But because despite everything, you're my family. And I think we can build something better. Something real. If we all keep trying. We will, Rebecca promised. I promise you, Emma. We will. 2 years after that night at the resort, Silver Crest was the most awarded luxury hotel chain in the world. We'd expanded to 10 properties. I'd been featured in Forbes. Hospitality magazines called me a visionary. But my proudest moment wasn't any of that. It was the day I opened the Silver Crest Scholarship Fund for underprivileged students pursuing careers in hospitality. Full-ride scholarships. Mentorship programs. Internships at my properties. I announced it at a press conference with my whole family in attendance. Mom, Dad, Rebecca. All of them there to support me. This industry gave me everything, I told the room full of reporters and cameras. It gave me purpose. Identity. A place where my hard work mattered more than my background or connections. I want to give that opportunity to others who might not otherwise have it. The questions came rapid fire after. About my vision for the company. My plans for expansion. My thoughts on the future of luxury hospitality. But the last question was different. A young reporter, maybe 25, raised her hand. Ms. Torres, you've become an icon for self-made success. What advice would you give to young people who feel like they don't fit in? Like they're not enough? I thought about that scared girl standing in the lobby. The one who let her family make her feel small. The one who hid her success because she was afraid of their judgment. I'd tell them that fitting in is overrated, I said. Building a life that feels true is so much more valuable than building a life that looks good to others. And if the people who are supposed to love you can't see your worth? That says everything about them and nothing about you. I paused. Looked directly into the camera. You are enough. Exactly as you are. With all your rough edges and strange dreams and unconventional paths. You are enough. Build your life knowing that. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for approval. Just build. The room erupted in applause. After the conference, my family took me to dinner. Not at a Silver Crest property. At a small Italian restaurant in Brooklyn that Rebecca had discovered. The kind of place with checkered tablecloths and candles in wine bottles and the best pasta you'd ever taste. We squeezed into a booth meant for 4. Ordered too much food. Drank cheap wine. Laughed about nothing and everything. To Emma, Dad raised his glass. Who taught us all what courage really looks like. We clinked glasses. And I realized something profound. I'd forgiven them. Not because they deserved it. Not because they'd earned it, but because carrying anger was exhausting. And I'd chosen to be free. Free from their judgment. Free from my own need for their approval. Free to build relationships on new terms. Honest terms. I love you guys, I said. And I meant it. Complicated and messy as it was, I meant it. We love you too, Mom said. We always did. We just didn't know how to show it. I know. But you're learning. We're all learning. Rebecca squeezed my hand under the table. Thank you for not giving up on us. You could have. You had every right to. Family is complicated, I said. But it's also worth fighting for. Sometimes. We stayed until the restaurant closed. Then walked through Brooklyn together. Past brownstones and corner stores and couples holding hands. It wasn't perfect. We still had hard days. Difficult conversations. Moments where old patterns tried to resurface. But we were trying. And that mattered. 5 years after that night at the resort, I stood on the same terrace where my father had told me I embarrassed them. But this time, I wasn't alone. I was hosting a gala. 500 guests. Industry leaders. Celebrities. Influencers. All there to celebrate Silvercrest's 10th anniversary under my ownership. The property had never looked more beautiful. Thousands of candles. Orchids everywhere. A string quartet playing on the lawn. The ocean providing the perfect backdrop. My family was there. Mom in a beautiful silver gown she'd designed herself. She was taking commissions now. Small projects for friends. But she was creating. Finally creating. Dad's book had been published by a small press. It hadn't been a bestseller, but it had gotten good reviews. He was working on his second. Rebecca was there with her new girlfriend. A teacher she'd met at school. They were happy. Really happy. The kind of happiness that radiates. And me? I wore a dress Marcus Reeves would have loved. Bold red. Elegant but powerful. My hair loose. My makeup perfect. Diamond jewelry that I'd bought myself. I gave a speech that night. Thanked everyone who'd supported the company. Talked about our vision for the future. Announced a new sustainability initiative that would make Silvercrest carbon neutral within 5 years. But I ended with something personal. 10 years ago, I took over this company from a man who believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. Marcus Reeves saw potential in a girl who'd spent her whole life being told she wasn't enough. He gave me an opportunity. But more than that, he gave me permission to be powerful. I've learned a lot in these 10 years. About business. About leadership. About what it means to create something lasting. But the most important thing I've learned has nothing to do with hotels or hospitality. I've learned that your worth isn't determined by others' opinions. That success without authenticity is just performance. That the most revolutionary thing you can do is be unapologetically yourself. So tonight, I want to toast not just to Silvercrest, but to everyone here who has ever felt like they didn't belong. Who has ever been told they weren't good enough. Who has ever had to fight for their place at the table. You belong. You are enough. And your dreams are valid. Build them anyway. Build them despite the doubt. Build them despite the critics. Build them until the world has no choice but to see what you knew all along. You were always worthy. The crowd stood. Applauded. Some people were crying. I looked over at my family. They were crying too. But they were smiling. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that I'd made it. Not to some finish line. Not to some final destination. But to myself. To the truth of who I was. Who I'd always been. Emma Torres. hotelier, daughter, sister, woman who refused to be small, owner of an empire. But more importantly, owner of her own story. And that, I realized as the sun set over the ocean one more time, was the real victory. Not what I'd built, but who I'd become in the building. Later that night, after the guests had gone and the staff was cleaning up, I stood alone on the beach. Shoes off. Dress hiked up. Feet in the water. Marcus's letter was in my clutch. I carried it everywhere. My reminder. My anchor. I pulled it out and read it one more time by moonlight. Real success comes when you build for yourself. I'd done that. Finally, completely, I'd done that. The empire was real. The success was real. But more real than any of it was the peace I felt standing here. Knowing I'd survived. Knowing I'd thrived. Knowing I was enough. I folded the letter carefully. Put it away. And made a promise to the ocean, to the stars, to the universe. I'd keep building. Keep growing. Keep creating. Not to prove anyone wrong. Not to earn approval. Not to fill some void. But simply because I could. Because I wanted to. Because building was who I was. And I'd help others build too. Give them the opportunities I'd been given. The belief I'd been shown. The permission to be powerful. That would be my legacy. Not the hotels. The people. The lives changed. The dreamers empowered. That would be everything. I walked back to the resort slowly. Savoring every step. Every breath. Every moment of this life I'd built from nothing. Tomorrow I'd fly to Tokyo to scout a location for property number 11. Next week I had meetings with architects about an innovative design concept. Next month I was keynoting a conference about women in business. My calendar was full. My life was busy. My dreams were bigger than ever. But tonight, I was just Emma. Standing on a beach. Grateful for every battle that made me stronger. Every rejection that pushed me forward. Every moment of doubt that taught me to believe. I was Emma Torres. And I was enough. I'd always been enough. And finally, beautifully, peacefully, I knew it.